This is the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Sr. Appreciate all of you for making today's show a part of your day, no matter where you're watching or how you're watching. Today's show presented to you by Manscaped, the most elite and the best men's grooming tools. And right now, during a time of the year where you could really use it to clean up the nether region, you can get 20% off and free shipping by utilizing that link at the bottom of your screen. It's the custom link for the faithful, manscaped.com/49ers. I'll put that link in the comment section and the description, and we'll tell you more about Manscaped coming up in a few moments. On the show today, Jimmy Garoppolo destinations if he's cut or traded, and then a report from Mike Florio, more so an opinion piece that he put together on Pro Football Talk, alluding to the fact that he thinks Garoppolo is going to get traded to the Houston Texans. But first, make sure you subscribe to the channel with training camp coming up on the horizon, preseason right after that, regular season coming up before we know it. We're going to start to ramp up our coverage here on the channel, and you don't want to miss anything that we're putting out there. That's why you got to subscribe to the largest 49ers News and Rumors channel by hitting that red sub button down below or utilizing that link. It's youtube.com/49ers TV. So we first start off with the latest on Jimmy Garoppolo, and we continue to talk about him because this is really been one of the biggest storylines in the National Football League throughout this entire offseason. According to Jeremy Fowler, ESPN, Seahawks have done their research on Jimmy Garoppolo. They have discussed acquiring him, whether it be through a trade or signing him in free agency if he is indeed cut by San Francisco. Tom Pelissero saying NFL execs and the belief among them is that Garoppolo gets traded by the end of July. And for me, could he return and back up Trey Lance? I think that is a realistic scenario. With each passing day, I think the possibility of Garoppolo being on this roster in 2022 becomes more and more real. And honestly, I don't have a lot of confidence in Nate Sudfeld to back up Trey. If an injury were to happen to Lance, that'd be serious for a team that's ready to compete for a Super Bowl right now, and Garoppolo would already be arguably the number one backup in the league, as he is a middle-tier starter in this league. Important Garoppolo nuggets for a team looking to acquire him or sign him, depending on if he gets traded or cut. Rehab on the shoulder surgery, and the recovery with it remains on schedule, does have to pass a physical first, has a base salary of $24 million. As of right now, only one team in the NFL can take on that contract without a separate restructure, and his cap hit, as we've covered ad nauseum, $26.9 million. That combined with the shoulder surgery, him being injury prone, is a big reason why the market up to this point has been somewhat silent. As for Jimmy Garoppolo destinations, we start off with the Cleveland Browns. I think this is the leader in the clubhouse right now, and it all hinges on what happens with Deshaun Watson. Back a couple weeks ago, I had said things don't look pretty right now. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Watson gets suspended for the entire year, and if the legal matters get really serious, is he ever going to play again? But according to recent reports, it looks as though the suspension could be anywhere between 4 and 6 games, which is great news for Cleveland from a football perspective because Watson is really special. Now, they are the only team in the NFL with enough cap space to take on Garoppolo's contract, $48+ million. That's part of the wizardry from general manager Andrew Berry because the team is really good. It's stacked with some really solid players and still number one in cap space. So the Browns, they're the most ideal scenario because they can absorb Garoppolo's number without having to restructure contracts on that team or releasing a noteworthy player. The Browns could seek a trade, all depending on the severity of the Deshaun Watson suspension. If it's the whole year, they're not going to move forward with Jacoby Brissett, in my opinion, who's the current backup. If it's for a month and a half, I think they can absorb that blow. They're a good enough team to at least survive throughout several weeks. Why Jimmy Garoppolo works in Cleveland. Head coach Kevin Stefanski, like Kyle Shanahan, loves the power run game. And for Garoppolo, you don't want him dropping back 30 to 50 times. You want that offense to really hinge on and lean on the run game. That's what Kevin Stefanski loves to do. And frankly, that's why I think Baker Mayfield wasn't successful in that offense, coming from Lincoln Riley's offense at Oklahoma. You have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. At the end of the day, you can rely on those two bell cows, which arguably boosts the number one backfield in the NFL at the running back position this offseason. Why the Browns are ready to win right now and why you don't want to move forward with Jacoby Brissett. You traded for Amari Cooper. He's a legitimate number one wide receiver. You re-signed David Njoku to a really big contract, and we know that Garoppolo loves to throw the football in between the seams to the tight ends. And if Garoppolo is having a bad day, if the offense is sluggish, if it's struggling, they can lean on that defense. So all of the pressure isn't on Garoppolo to win. And for a team that's looking to get back to the playoffs for the first time since 2 years ago, Garoppolo's won 71% of his starts, and he can kind of play point guard on this offense, which factors in perfectly for Cleveland. Do you think the Browns are a good fit for Jimmy G? Let me know in the comment section right now. G for good, B for bad. I think they're an excellent fit for Garoppolo's services, but you let your voices be heard in the comment section right now. Garoppolo destination number 2. This is something that Mike Florio thinks is going to happen. He released this on Tuesday as we're talking about it during our live show. There's long been a belief, outside of what Florio had to say, there's long been a belief that Houston could trade for Jimmy G. Why is that? They have connections to Garoppolo. General manager for the Texans, Nick Caserio, drafted Garoppolo and was part of that front office back when they took him with the New England Patriots, and their current starter, Davis Mills, who really had an up-and-down rookie campaign. If you remember, during Lance's second start at Levi Stadium, they did go up against the Texans and Davis Mills. As for what Florio had to say on Jimmy G, I'm putting my chip on the Houston Texans. It's a hunch, a loose reading of tea leaves that may not even be tea leaves, a connecting of fairly obvious dots. The Texans have shown that they know how to slow play a situation in order to get the best outcome. They did it with Deshaun Watson, and it worked, which makes them even more likely to keep their heads low and their mouths shut as to the possibility of getting Garoppolo, moving at the right time to get Jimmy G at the right terms as well as the right price. Now, you look at the numbers that Davis Mills put forward last year as a rookie, and he was solid. He certainly had his moments, good size at the quarterback spot, has a pretty solid arm, and for a team that really lacked a bona fide number one outside of Brandon Cooks, who, is he a number one? I think he's a little bit too small for that. They didn't have a good run game either. I thought Mills was pretty solid as a rookie, considering the circumstances at play. Completed nearly 67% of his passes, slightly above league average, 16 touchdowns to 10 picks. If you remember, it was Tyrod Taylor who started the year with the Texans. Yards per attempt, nearly 7, and he threw for 2,600 yards, had a couple of good moments against a Niners defense that at the time was playing like one of the best in the NFL. So Davis Mills, is he going to be the starter? Do the Texans love him? I'm not sure. If they don't love him, maybe they make a play for Garoppolo's services. Most wins in 2022 among the 3 teams who we've talked about so far: San Francisco, Cleveland, and Houston. Let me know in the comment section. You get your votes in. You see what the graphic states. Get those letters in right now. Now, as I mentioned off the top, today's show presented to you by Manscaped. And you got to get hooked up with the Performance Package. Why? All of these products are at the top of the game, and they're the best men's grooming products on the market today. And you can get all of this right here to my right for $95.99 as part of the Performance Package. You want to perform in the bedroom with your significant other? Manscaped helps you do that. Lawnmower 4.0, you get the Crop Preserver, ball deodorant, travel case, and the Manscaped boxer briefs, which are the most comfortable that I have ever worn in my life, and I'm not just saying that, I truly mean it. You want to see what I'm talking about? You want to look fine for your lady or significant other? Get hooked up with Manscaped, and by using that link right below me, you get 20% off and free shipping. I'm going to put that link in the comment section and the description of this video. Another Jimmy G destination. It's got to be the Seattle Seahawks, considering what Jeremy Fowler had said and the quarterbacks currently on that roster under Pete Carroll. According to Jeremy Fowler, we talked about this on Monday, Seahawks have discussed acquiring Jimmy G. They've looked at the tape, and I thought that part of the report was somewhat funny. I mean, other teams across the NFL are always doing their due diligence, and they're watching film to see which players they can bring in to upgrade the roster, especially scouts out there who are looking to climb the scouting totem pole and ideally get into a front office at some point. Seattle did reportedly check in on Baker Mayfield. He gets traded to the Carolina Panthers, where a fascinating competition awaits between Sam Darnold and Baker in training camp. Current quarterbacks for Seattle, though, Drew Lock and Geno Smith. Now, in case you missed it, here's what Fowler reported on Jimmy G. and Seattle. I'm told that internally they have discussed the possibility of Garoppolo playing for them. They've done their film work to see how he could fit. Certainly tricky to do a trade inside the NFC West, but the 49ers and Seattle, no, they can kind of sort of wait this out. The 49ers have limited cap space right now, I think around $5 million. It's fourth least in the NFL, I believe, to be precise. They want to re-sign Nick Bosa and Deebo Samuel, and to do that, they need some of Garoppolo's base salary. Seattle probably knows that, and maybe they won't make a trade and wait for the 49ers to release him. Seahawks depth chart, as we just alluded to, Drew Lock, Geno Smith, Jacob Eason. And for Seattle, I understand you trade away Russell Wilson, you're rebuilding to a certain degree, but do you want better quarterback play than Drew Lock and Geno Smith? They leave a lot to be desired. Quarterback rating throughout Lock's career, 59, 25 touchdowns to 20, has a live arm but is very inconsistent and does some head-scratching things on the field in terms of decision-making. Completion percentage, not good at 59, and he's thrown in a couple of years for less than 5,000 yards. As for Geno Smith with the New York Jets, people were looking at him as the next coming, and he was going to be that starting quarterback that New York had long desired to find, and he wasn't that. And it's been proven that he is better suited as a backup. His numbers better to a certain degree as compared to Drew Lock, but he is not a franchise guy, nor is Drew Lock, and that's why Seattle could look to make a play for Garoppolo. This team, it could be bad without Russell Wilson. They could be rebuilding right now, and I think they are. So with that, I ask you this. Predict how many games the Seahawks will win in 2022, and let me know right now below in the comment section. Now, if an injury happens across the NFL, a couple more teams that we can talk about that could look to trade for Garoppolo or maybe sign him depending on if he's dealt or if he's cut. Pittsburgh Steelers, New Orleans Saints, Atlanta Falcons, because right now, who's the starting quarterback going to be? Marcus Mariota? New England Patriots, New York Giants, Chicago Bears, especially if Justin Fields gets injured or if they want a veteran to back him up to give him good experience. Miami Dolphins and Washington Commanders, other teams that you can keep an eye on if an injury happens or if their respective quarterbacks on the roster right now just don't pan out. Crystal ball time once more. Where will Garoppolo play next year? I have posed this question throughout the 49ers offseason. Now it's up to you to predict it, and if you're right, good job by you. Either way, let me know right now, and we appreciate you for making the 49ers Report a part of your day.